In the muscle car heyday, Detroit presented several pretty rare models, and none of them exceeded production figures of 1,000 units. If you wonder what those cars are, here is the answer. Number 30. 1970 Buick GSX. Total units, 678. The 1970 Buick GSX wasn't just another muscle car. It was Buick's thunderous declaration that it too could build a no-compromise street brawler. This wasn't the calm, stately cruiser Buick was known for. It was a fire-breathing beast wrapped in Saturn yellow or Apollo white, with black racing stripes and a spoiler that shouted its intentions from a mile away. Just 678 units were built, making it one of the rarest muscle cars of the golden era and possibly the boldest Buick ever unleashed. At the heart of the GSX lay the 455 cubic inch Stage 1 V8, conservatively rated at 360 horsepower and a staggering 510 pound-feet of torque, the highest torque figure of any American production engine that year. It could outpull a Corvette off the line and offered a terrifying blend of brute force and Buick's signature refinement. Quarter-mile times in the low 13s were no joke for a full-size car tipping the scales over 800 pounds. But the GSX wasn't just about speed. It came loaded with features like a heavy-duty suspension, rear anti-roll bar, power front disc brakes, and even an optional tachometer mounted on the hood. Part of the car's rarity stems from its timing. Buick's core audience wasn't exactly craving tire smoke and drag strip dominance, and its $4,000+ price tag made it even more elusive. Most GSX buyers were performance purists who knew they were getting a machine that could take on the best from Chevy, Pontiac, and even Mopar. Today, the GSX is a collector's dream, not just because of its low production numbers, but because it represents one of the most unexpected and audacious moves in American muscle car history. It was Buick, unleashed. Number 29. 1969 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. Total units, 634. In 1969, Pontiac introduced what would become one of the most iconic names in American muscle car history, the Trans Am. But in its inaugural year, the Firebird Trans Am wasn't a mass-produced halo car. It was a secret weapon, hidden in plain sight, built to homologate Pontiac for SCCA racing. With only 634 units produced, including just 8 convertibles, the first-year Trans Am remains a holy grail for collectors and a symbol of racing-bred performance. Externally, it wore a distinctive look. Cameo white paint with twin blue racing stripes, functional air scoops on the hood, a rear deck spoiler, and subtle Trans Am decals that hinted at its purpose. Under the hood, buyers got a 400 cubic inch Ram Air 3 V8 as standard, producing 335 horsepower, while a few lucky ones scored the rarer Ram Air 4 option with improved breathing and more aggressive internals. A heavy-duty suspension, quick ratio steering, and front disc brakes helped the Trans Am carve corners with surprising agility for a pony car born in the muscle age. Despite the performance and pedigree, sales were lukewarm. Blame it on poor timing. 1969 was the final year of the first-generation Firebird, and Pontiac didn't promote the Trans Am heavily. Insurance costs were rising, and many muscle car fans were chasing big block straight-line bruisers. Yet for those who knew what the Trans Am represented, a track-tuned street machine with real race ambitions, it was something truly special. Today, the 1969 Trans Am is remembered not just as the beginning of a legendary nameplate, but as a rare blend of performance, design, and racing spirit in one ultra-exclusive package. Its scarcity only adds to its mystique, making it one of the crown jewels of Pontiac's muscle car legacy. Number 28. 1969 Mercury Cougar Eliminator, Boss 302. Total units, 638. The Mercury Cougar had always played the refined sibling to the Ford Mustang, sharing its DNA but dressing it up in a suit. But in 1969, Mercury decided it was time to bare its claws. The result was the Cougar Eliminator, a bold, aggressive take on the pony car formula. Among the rarest and most fascinating variants of this line was the Eliminator, equipped with the Boss 302 V8, a combination of race-ready power and road-going style, of which only 638 were built. This Boss 302-powered Eliminator wasn't just about throwing a Mustang engine into a Cougar body. It came with a specially tuned suspension, beefed-up drivetrain components, and unique styling touches that made it unmistakable. Bold, high-impact colors like Grabber, orange, and competition blue were matched with blackout hoods, hood scoops, spoilers, and Eliminator side striping that gave it an intimidating presence. Inside, high-back bucket seats and performance gauges reminded the driver they weren't in any ordinary Mercury. The Boss 302 engine under the hood was a high-revving marvel, producing 290 horsepower but capable of much more in the hands of tuners. It was developed for Trans Am racing, and in the Eliminator, it offered a sublime balance of power and handling rarely matched in the era. While bigger engines were available in the Eliminator line, the Boss 302 was arguably the most balanced and race-inspired option. Despite its pedigree, the Boss 302 Eliminator lived in the shadows of both the Mustang Boss 302 and its big block Cougar counterparts. That makes it all the more special today, a true hidden gem. Produced in limited numbers, they gave Mercury its most ferocious growl in the Golden Muscle era. Number 27. 1969 Ford Torino Talladega. Total units, 754. In the escalating horsepower and aerodynamics war of NASCAR's golden era, 1969 brought one of Ford's most cunning weapons to the street, the Torino Talladega. Named after the newly constructed Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama, the car wasn't just a styling exercise. It was a homologation special built for one reason: to win on Sunday by qualifying on Monday. With only 754 units ever produced, the Torino Talladega is one of the rarest purpose-built muscle cars ever to leave Dearborn. Unlike the standard Torino, the Talladega featured a heavily modified front end, including an extended, flush-mounted nose cone that was aerodynamically superior at high speeds. Even the rocker panels were rolled to lower the car's ride height, an innovation taken directly from the racetrack. The front bumper was a reworked rear bumper from a Ford bumper press, flipped upside down and grafted to the front for better airflow. This wasn't a styling gimmick, it was aerodynamics ahead of its time. Powering the Talladega was the 428 Cobra Jet V8, mated to a column-shifted C6 automatic transmission. It made well over 335 horsepower and gobs of torque, giving the car the speed it needed to dominate high-banked superspeedways. Every Talladega was equipped with heavy-duty cooling, upgraded suspension, and performance rear gearing, making it more than a one-trick pony. Despite its role in helping Ford secure wins in NASCAR, the Talladega was quickly overshadowed by even wilder aerodynamic cars like the Dodge Charger, Daytona, and Plymouth Superbird. Yet its rarity and engineering significance make it a legend among muscle car insiders. The Ford Torino Talladega was a street-legal race car, born out of necessity and wrapped in raw, purposeful aggression. Number 26. 1970 Chrysler 300 Hurst. Total units, 500. In the realm of muscle cars, the Chrysler brand often stood apart, not because it lacked power, but because it rarely played in the same bare-knuckle brawler arena as its Dodge and Plymouth siblings. But in 1970, Chrysler partnered with Hurst Performance to create something unexpected, a full-sized luxury brute with street presence and track-worthy credentials. The result was the Chrysler 300 Hurst, a grand touring muscle car of which only around 500 units were ever produced. The car was massive in every sense, spanning over 18 feet long and weighing more than 4,000 pounds, yet it moved with surprising authority thanks to a 440 cubic inch TNT V8 under the hood, rated at 375 horsepower. That engine, mated to a heavy-duty TorqueFlite automatic transmission, provided smooth yet forceful acceleration, capable of propelling this rolling yacht from 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds. It wasn't built to dominate drag strips. It was built to intimidate everything in the fast lane while coddling the driver in power leather seats. The most distinctive part of the 300 Hurst wasn't just its performance, it was the styling. The car came only in Spinnaker white with satin gold accents, a fiberglass hood with a power bulge scoop, and a deck lid featuring a built-in spoiler molded into the rear quarter panels. Hurst emblems adorned the sides, but it was the sheer attitude of the car, equal parts muscle, executive, and outlaw, that made it unforgettable. Too large, too bold, and too different for most buyers, the 300 Hurst quickly faded into obscurity. But today, it stands tall as one of the most unique interpretations of the muscle car formula, limited in number, dripping in style, and engineered to make a statement few cars ever dared. Number 25, 1969 Dodge Charger 500. Total units, 500. Before the wild wings and towering tails of the Dodge Daytona took over the superspeedways, there was the Charger 500, a crucial stepping stone in Dodge's bid to dominate NASCAR in 1969. Built specifically to correct the aerodynamic shortcomings of the standard Charger, the Charger 500 was a homologation special with just 500 units produced for street use. Its name was both literal and symbolic, a badge of exclusivity and purpose. The standard Charger's recessed grille and tunneled rear window looked good but created lift at high speeds. To address this, Dodge engineers grafted on a flush-mounted Coronet grille and replaced the rear window with a fastback-style rear glass that smoothed airflow. These seemingly minor tweaks made a major difference on the track, where fractions of a second could mean victory or defeat. Under the hood, most Charger 500s came equipped with the 440 Magnum V8 producing 375 horsepower, while a select few were optioned with the legendary 426 Hemi, a street-legal monster built for domination. Mated to either a TorqueFlite automatic or a 4-speed manual, the Charger 500 wasn't just aerodynamic, it was brutally fast. Although it had a short production run and was soon eclipsed by the more radical Charger Daytona, the Charger 500's importance cannot be overstated. It was Dodge's first serious attempt to align showroom cars with race cars, a philosophy that would define the muscle car wars of the era. With only 500 made and even fewer surviving, the Charger 500 stands today as a rare and fascinating chapter in Mopar's high-speed history, a car born from racing necessity and sculpted by wind tunnel wisdom. Number 24, 1965 Chevrolet Chevelle Z16. Total units, 200. In the muscle car arms race of the mid-1960s, Chevrolet needed a contender that could go head-to-head with the GTO and other emerging street beasts. Enter the 1965 Chevelle Z16, a stealthy powerhouse wrapped in mid-sized sheet metal that previewed the big block muscle movement to come. With just 200 units produced, the Z16 wasn't just rare, it was a secret weapon in Chevrolet's performance arsenal. At first glance, the Z16 looked like a regular Malibu SS, but under the hood lurked something much more serious. A 396 cubic inch turbojet V8, conservatively rated at 375 horsepower. Mated to a Muncie close ratio 4-speed manual transmission and a 12-bolt positraction rear axle, the Z16 had all the tools to embarrass bigger, heavier cars at the drag strip. Special heavy-duty suspension, upgraded brakes, and boxed rear control arms kept all that muscle grounded. Chevrolet didn't advertise the Z16 heavily, and it wasn't even offered through regular dealer channels. It was a test bed, a limited-run halo car meant to gauge interest in big-block mid-size performance before rolling out the more widely available SS396 the following year. Most Z16s came fully loaded, with deluxe interiors, power steering, power brakes, AM/FM radios, and even a 160 mph speedometer hinting at what this sleeper could truly do. Today, the Z16 is one of the most coveted early muscle cars, not just for its rarity, but for its role in shaping the future of Chevrolet performance. It was the prelude to a revolution, proving that massive horsepower in a mid-size package could be both brutally effective and street-friendly. For muscle car historians, the Z16 is ground zero for big block Chevelle greatness. Number 23, 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona. Total units, 504. By 1969, NASCAR had become a battleground not just of engines, but of aerodynamics. Dodge, determined to reclaim dominance on the high banks, went all in and created the Charger Daytona, a car so radical in appearance and engineering that it instantly became one of the most iconic muscle machines ever built. Only 504 units were produced for homologation, making it as rare as it was outrageous. The Charger Daytona was designed with a singular goal: cheat the win. Dodge engineers replaced the standard Charger's grille with a pointed nose cone that extended nearly 19 inches forward, reducing drag and improving top speed. Above the rear deck sat a 2-foot-tall stabilizing wing, which wasn't just for show. It provided genuine downforce at high speeds. The wing was so tall not because it needed to be aerodynamically, but because it had to clear the trunk lid for functionality. Buyers could choose between the 440 Magnum engine or the legendary 426 Hemi, with the latter producing 425 horsepower. These engines made the Daytona blisteringly fast in a straight line, while the aerodynamic aids made it unbeatable on long superspeedway straights. It became the first car in NASCAR history to break the 200-mile-per-hour barrier. However, on public roads, the Daytona was something of an oddity. Its extreme styling turned heads, but also confused consumers, and its price tag was steep for a muscle car. Many sat unsold on dealer lots or were stripped for parts by drag racers. Yet today, the Charger Daytona is among the most collectible Mopars ever made, a fusion of race, tech, and street legality that defined an era when Detroit dared to build cars that looked like rocket ships and drove like thunder. Number 22, 1970 Plymouth Barracuda Hemi Cuda. Total units, 600. In 1970, Plymouth unleashed one of the most feared and respected muscle cars of all time, the Hemi Cuda. Built on the newly redesigned E-body platform, the Barracuda finally broke free of its compact car origins and stepped into the muscle car ring with a physique and attitude to match its performance. But when equipped with the mighty 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, it transcended the muscle car category altogether, becoming a legend. With around 600 coupes and a mere 17 convertibles ever produced, the 1970 Hemi Cuda is not only a powerhouse but also a rarity of mythic proportions. The 426 Hemi, rated at 425 horsepower, was essentially a detuned race engine with dual 4-barrel carburetors, hemispherical combustion chambers, and forged internals. It wasn't just fast, it was violent. This was the kind of car that could embarrass nearly anything on the street or strip, provided the driver could hook up the rear tires and hang on. Plymouth didn't skimp on the visuals either. The Hemi Cuda came with aggressive styling cues like twin hood scoops, hockey stick side stripes, hood pins, and a shaker hood that trembled with menace every time the throttle was blipped. Inside, bucket seats, rally gauges, and optional wood grain trim reminded you that this was a high-performance machine wrapped in luxury muscle skin. Insurance costs, gas prices, and a shifting market meant the Hemi Cuda was short-lived. But in that brief moment, it represented the absolute peak of Mopar muscle. Today, surviving examples, especially convertibles, are among the most valuable American cars ever built, commanding 7-figure prices and eternal reverence. The 1970 Hemi Cuda wasn't just a car, it was a muscle car deity. Number 21, 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Total units, 69. In the vast landscape of American muscle cars, few machines are as mysterious, exclusive, and brutally powerful as the 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Conceived as a factory-legal dragstrip assassin, the ZL1 was born from the arcane pages of Chevrolet's Central Office Production Order Program, COPO for short. Only 69 units were ever produced, making it not just rare, but borderline mythical. At the core of the ZL1's legend lies its engine, the all-aluminum 427 cubic inch V8 originally developed for Can-Am racing. Officially rated at 430 horsepower, most agree it made well over 500 horses in stock form. With aluminum block and heads, it was significantly lighter than the iron 427s, giving the Camaro near-perfect weight balance and incredible acceleration. It was a race motor in a streetcar suit. To get this exotic power plant into a Camaro, buyers had to know the code, COPO 9560. Most of the orders were funneled through Fred Gibbs Chevrolet in Illinois, where drag racers and performance junkies knew how to navigate GM's internal red tape. The car itself came without fanfare, no flashy badging or wild stripes. It looked like a plain Camaro SS, but what it packed was anything but ordinary. The ZL1 was expensive, more than twice the cost of a base Camaro, so many dealers struggled to sell them. Some were returned, and others sat unsold for years. But time has flipped the script. Today, the ZL1 is one of the most sought-after muscle cars ever made, a combination of engineering defiance and corporate subversion. The 1969 Camaro ZL1 wasn't built for the masses, it was built for the bold few who wanted nothing less than the most extreme machine Chevrolet had ever made. Number 20. 1970 Dodge Challenger R T 426 Hemi. Total units 137. When Dodge finally entered the pony car segment in 1970 with the all-new Challenger, they didn't tiptoe in, they roared in. And at the top of the performance ladder stood the Challenger RT, equipped with the legendary 426 cubic inch Hemi. With just 137 units built that year with the Hemi engine, this car is as rare as it is fearsome. The 426 Hemi was never meant for the average driver. With a race-bred architecture featuring hemispherical combustion chambers, solid lifters, and dual 4-barrel carburetors, it was conservatively rated at 425 horsepower. But the real number was far higher, especially when uncorked. Mated to either a heavy-duty 4-speed manual or a rugged torque-flight automatic, the Hemi Challenger could devastate nearly anything in its path. The RT, short for road track, package added functional enhancements like heavy-duty suspension, a performance rear axle, and power front disc brakes. Cosmetic cues included bold striping, scooped hoods, RT badging, and the optional shaker hood that literally shook with engine fury. The Challenger was available in an explosion of high-impact colors like Plum Crazy, Go Mango, and Sublime, shades that made sure it never went unnoticed. But the Hemi came at a cost, both literally and figuratively. High insurance premiums, a substantial price tag, and the reality that very few drivers could truly tame its power meant that few were sold. Yet for those who dared, the Hemi Challenger offered an unmatched blend of straight-line dominance and dramatic flair. Today, the 1970 Dodge Challenger R T426 Hemi is a crown jewel in Mopar history, a muscle car masterpiece that defines the boldest era of American performance. Number 19. 1969 Chevrolet Corvette ZL1. Total units 2. In the world of American performance, few vehicles are as enigmatic and exclusive as the 1969 Chevrolet Corvette ZL1. While the Camaro ZL1 is rare with 69 units produced, the Corvette version is in a different league entirely. Only 2 were ever factory built. This wasn't just a limited edition Corvette. It was a rolling testbed for GM's most advanced racing technology, cloaked in fiberglass bodywork. At the heart of this unicorn was the all-aluminum 427 cubic inch ZL1 V8, originally designed for Can-Am competition. It weighed roughly 100 pounds less than the L88 iron block engine and produced well over 500 horsepower, though officially rated at 430 to appease insurance companies and the DOT. The engine was hand-assembled, featuring aluminum heads, a solid lifter camshaft, forged internals, and an incredible appetite for RPMs. It wasn't just powerful, it was exotic, even by today's standards. These 2 ZL1 Corvettes were ordered through GM's Copo system by those who knew how to unlock the brand's inner circle. They weren't promoted, advertised, or even intended for public consumption. Each car was built with a full L88 performance package, meaning heavy-duty suspension, a close-ratio 4-speed transmission, and no luxury options. These were not boulevard cruisers. They were racing machines dressed in production car clothing. Because of their extreme cost, over double the price of a standard Corvette, and limited practicality, the ZL1 package never made it to series production. But today, those 2 cars stand as priceless artifacts from a time when GM's engineers dared to blur the line between racetrack and showroom. The 1969 Corvette ZL1 is more than rare, it is legendary. Number 18. 1967 Chevrolet Corvette L88. Total units, 218. Between 1967 and 1969, Chevrolet offered a Corvette so potent, so uncompromising, that it was never intended for the average street driver. That car was the L88 Corvette, a limited production beast born from racing bloodlines and built under the radar for serious competition. Over the span of 3 model years, only 218 were ever produced, making it one of the most coveted and fearsome Corvettes of all time. The centerpiece of the L88 package was a 427 cubic inch V8, designed not just for high horsepower, but for endurance racing. It featured forged internals, high compression pistons, aluminum heads, and a massive Holley 4-barrel carburetor. Though officially rated at 435 horsepower, the real number was closer to 500 in stock trim, and even higher with minor tuning. It came alive above 4,000 RPM, delivering a ferocious surge that separated the amateurs from the seasoned racers. But Chevrolet didn't want just anyone buying the L88. In fact, the car was quietly discouraged for street use. Options like a radio and heater were deleted, and its warranty could be voided if it was abused on public roads. The L88 came with heavy-duty suspension, a close-ratio 4-speed, and an upgraded cooling system, all geared toward track performance. While most customers went for the more comfortable 71 or 427 tri-power Corvettes, a select few racers and insiders ordered the L88. And those few ended up with a car that could not only dominate on the drag strip, but also compete at Le Mans. The L88 was a Corvette that spoke softly on paper, but roared like a lion on the pavement. Today, the 1967 to 1969 L88 Corvette is a blue-chip collectible and a shining symbol of GM's most unfiltered performance engineering. Number 17. 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner Superbird, Hemi. Total units, 135. In the wildest corners of muscle car history, few vehicles are as outrageous or as instantly recognizable as the 1970 Plymouth Superbird. Designed specifically to dominate NASCAR, the Superbird was a radical evolution of the Roadrunner, complete with a wind-cheating nose cone and a massive rear wing that towered over the trunk. Among the total production, only 135 were equipped with the legendary 426 cubic inch Hemi engine, making them some of the rarest and most desirable Mopars ever built. The 426 Hemi was already infamous by this time. Rated at 425 horsepower, it featured hemispherical combustion chambers, solid lifters, and dual Carter 4-barrel carburetors. It was a street-legal racing engine, and in the Superbird, it created one of the most formidable machines to ever roll out of a dealership. Backing it up was either a heavy-duty torque flight automatic or a 4-speed manual, along with a 9.7 5-inch Dana 60 rear axle that could take serious punishment. But it was the aerodynamics that truly made the Superbird unforgettable. The long, tapered nose cone reduced drag significantly, while the rear wing, set high to clear the rear fenders, provided high-speed stability. The Superbird looked like a spaceship and drove like a missile, capable of breaking 200 miles per hour on the high banks. On the street, however, it was a hard sell. Its extreme looks alienated many buyers, and some dealers even removed the nose and wing to sell them. Yet over time, its uniqueness became its strength. The 1970 Hemi Superbird is now considered one of the most iconic and collectible muscle cars in existence, built for NASCAR glory, but destined for automotive legend. Number 15. 1970 Buick GSX Stage 1. Total units, 400. If the base Buick GSX was a surprise strike from the luxury division, the Stage 1 version was a full-on assault cloaked in civility. In 1970, Buick released just 400 GSX units equipped with the Stage 1 performance package, turning the gentlemanly muscle car into one of the fastest street machines of its time. This wasn't just a cosmetic package. It was an engineering statement that Buick could not only play with the big boys, but beat them at their own game. The Stage 1 upgrade took the already monstrous 455 cubic inch V8 and refined it with bigger valves, a hotter camshaft, revised carburation, and advanced ignition timing. Officially rated at 360 horsepower, most experts agree the actual output was north of 400, with 510 pound-feet of torque arriving almost off idle. This tidal wave of low-end grunt made the GSX Stage 1 a menace on the street, easily capable of mid-13-second quarter-mile passes with street tires. The rest of the GSX recipe remained intact: Saturn yellow or Apollo white paint, bold black striping, hood-mounted tachometer, rally suspension, quick ratio steering, and a rear spoiler that screamed business. Yet inside, the car remained pure Buick, plush, quiet, and composed when not being pushed to its limits. It was the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde of the muscle car era. Though rarer than many of its high-profile rivals, the GSX Stage 1 has slowly earned the respect it always deserved. It was a muscle car that didn't need to shout to be feared. The 1970 Buick GSX Stage 1 is now recognized as one of the most complete performance packages ever sold: luxurious, rare, and brutally fast. Number 14. 1987 Buick Grand National GNX. Total units, 547. By the late 1980s, the muscle car era was supposed to be over. Choked by emissions, rising insurance rates, and corporate conservatism, V8s had grown weaker and performance became a faded memory. But then, Buick did something no one expected. In 1987, they unleashed the GNX, a turbocharged, blacked-out menace that could outrun Corvettes and leave European exotics scrambling in its rear-view mirror. Only 547 were built, making it one of the most exclusive and revered performance cars of its time. The GNX, short for Grand National Experimental, was a final send-off for the already legendary Grand National. Buick partnered with ASC, McLaren, to create a limited production monster that elevated the turbocharged 3.8-liter V6 to a whole new level. With a larger turbocharger, ceramic impeller, upgraded intercooler, and a reprogrammed ECU, the GNX produced a conservative rating of 276 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque. In real-world testing, it easily outperformed its own specs, reaching 60 miles per hour in under 5 seconds. A stunning figure in an era where most V8s struggled to break 7. Externally, the GNX looked like pure menace. All models were finished in gloss black, with blacked-out trim, fender vents, unique wheels, and a stealthy stance that radiated aggression. Inside, it retained the Grand National's cloth interior, but added a numbered plaque and a special Stewart Warner gauge cluster to emphasize its rarity. The 1987 GNX was not just a fast car, it was a mic-drop moment. It proved that with the right engineering, a V6 Buick could destroy the very idea of what a muscle car could be. Today, it stands as a turbocharged time bomb from a brand no one saw coming. Number 13. 1993 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra R. Total units, 107. By the early 1990s, Ford was looking to rekindle the Mustang's performance legacy. The Special Vehicle Team, or SVT, had already revived the Cobra name in 1993, but for a very select group of enthusiasts, they went one step further. That step was the Cobra R, a factory-built track car with zero fluff and 107 total units produced. It was raw, focused, and completely unlike anything else on the road. The Cobra R was born from the desire to give grassroots racers a purpose-built platform, straight from the factory. Ford took the standard Cobra, removed anything deemed unnecessary, including rear seats, air conditioning, radio, sound deadening, and even fog lights, and strengthened the chassis with heavy-duty suspension component. The 5-liter V8 was essentially the same as in the regular Cobra, but paired with a larger radiator, power steering cooler, and upgraded brakes to withstand serious track abuse. With weight savings of over 200 pounds and improved cooling and handling, the Cobra R was a no-nonsense machine. It wore unique 5-spoke 17-inch wheels and had subtle exterior cues, but no flashy badges or striping. It was a car for drivers, not posers. To purchase one, buyers had to show proof of a racing license, making sure these cars ended up in the hands of those who would actually use them for their intended purpose. The 1993 Cobra R wasn't built to boost showroom sales. It was built to prove that Ford still understood what made Mustangs matter. Rare, minimalistic, and bred for speed, the Cobra R remains one of the purest expressions of SVT philosophy. It was a love letter to racing, hidden inside a humble Fox body shell. Number 12. 1995 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra R. Total units: 250. In 1995, Ford's special vehicle team doubled down on its mission to deliver uncompromised performance with the second iteration of the Cobra R. Limited to just 250 units, this version took everything that made the original Cobra R special and turned it up a notch, creating one of the most focused Mustangs of the modern era. At the heart of the 1995 Cobra R was a new 5.8-liter, 351 cubic inch Windsor V8, replacing the previous 5-liter engine used in the standard Cobra. Producing 300 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque, it delivered broad, muscular power that transformed the Mustang from a quick street car into a serious track threat. The engine was paired exclusively with a heavy-duty Tremec 5-speed manual transmission and featured upgrades like a larger fuel cell, oil cooler, and heavy-duty cooling system. Like its predecessor, the Cobra R eschewed luxury for speed. It came with no rear seat, no air conditioning, no power windows, no radio, and no sound insulation. What it did come with was stiffer springs, thicker sway bars, and a revised suspension setup that made it razor-sharp on the track. The car sat on unique 17-inch 5-spoke wheels and wore a subtle rear spoiler to hint at its racing DNA. All 250 units were painted in crystal white and featured a straightforward, no-nonsense appearance. Buyers were once again limited to racing license holders or serious enthusiasts, ensuring the car's purpose remained intact. The 1995 Cobra R wasn't for everyone. It was for the few who demanded real performance, straight from the factory, no excuses. It was the ultimate expression of what a Mustang could be when all distractions were stripped away. Number 11. 2000 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra R. Total units: 300. By the time the year 2000 rolled around, Ford's special vehicle team had one final card to play in its trilogy of factory track cars, the Cobra R. Unlike its predecessors, this version wasn't just a stripped-out Mustang with modest upgrades. It was a full-blown homologation special designed to battle Europe's finest on the road course, and only 300 were built. Under the hood sat a 5.4-liter DOHC V8, producing a brutal 385 horsepower at high revs, an engine developed without compromise and not shared with any other production Mustang. Mated to a Tremec T56 6-speed manual transmission and a race-inspired suspension setup, the 2000 Cobra R was capable of hitting 60 miles per hour in just over 4 seconds. It also featured Brembo front brakes, Eibach springs, Bilstein shocks, and a stiffened chassis that made it more capable on a track than any Mustang before it. Ford didn't waste time with luxuries. The Cobra R had no rear seats, no radio, no air conditioning, and not even a back carpet. Every ounce of weight that could be saved was shaved off in favor of performance. Even the massive rear wing and aggressive front splitter weren't for show. They generated real downforce at triple-digit speeds. All units came in performance red with unique wheels, side exhausts, and functional aero, giving it the look and feel of a proper race car. Owners needed no special license this time, but Ford made it clear this car was meant to be driven hard. The 2000 SVT Cobra R was the ultimate swan song for the SN95 platform, a no-compromise performer that remains one of the most revered Mustangs ever built. Number 10. 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda Convertible. Total units: 12. In the world of muscle cars, few machines carry the aura and mystique of the 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda Convertible. With just 12 units ever produced, it stands as one of the rarest and most coveted production vehicles in American automotive history. It wasn't just a convertible with a big engine. It was a snarling, fire-breathing street monster that defied logic and reason with the top down. The heart of the Hemi Cuda convertible was the legendary 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, conservatively rated at 425 horsepower and backed by either a heavy-duty torque-flight automatic or a 4-speed manual. This was an engine that was born on the racetrack and detuned just enough to be street legal. It featured forged internals, hemispherical combustion chambers, and dual Carter 4-barrel carburetors that delivered explosive acceleration at the press of a pedal. The convertible version offered a rare blend of open-air cruising and drag strip violence. It came with aggressive styling, including shaker hood scoops, fender gills, blackout accents, and bold color options that screamed muscle. The interior was equally bold, offering high-back bucket seats, rally gauges, and an optional pistol grip shifter. Because of rising insurance rates, increasing emissions restrictions, and changing tastes, the Hemi Cuda convertible was doomed before it even hit showroom. Dealers struggled to sell them, and most buyers opted for more practical or affordable models. But decades later, this rarity became a legend. The 1971 Hemi Cuda convertible is now a crown jewel of the muscle car era, commanding auction prices in the millions and representing a time when Detroit dared to build insanity on 4 wheels, even if only for a dozen brave souls. Number 9. 1970 Plymouth Hemi Cuda convertible. Total units 17. Before the legend of the 1971 Hemi Cuda convertible was cemented, its equally ferocious predecessor had already carved its place in muscle car mythology. The 1970 Plymouth Hemi Cuda convertible was the first time buyers could pair open-air motoring with the sheer brutality of the 426 cubic inch Hemi V8. Only 17 were ever produced, making it one of the rarest and most desirable muscle cars of all time. This was no ordinary Barracuda. The E-body platform introduced in 1970 allowed Plymouth to redesign the car with aggressive proportions, wide fenders, and attitude that matched its performance. The Hemi engine, rated at 425 horsepower, sat beneath a functional shaker hood, breathing air directly into its dual Carter 4-barrel carburetors. It was a track-bred power plant with forged internals, solid lifters, and a soul-shaking exhaust note that echoed pure aggression. Buyers could choose between the heavy-duty torque-flight 3-speed automatic or the ultra-desirable 4-speed manual with a pistol grip shifter. A Dana 60 rear axle, heavy-duty suspension, and optional SuperTrack pack made sure the Hemi Cuda convertible wasn't just powerful, it was road-ready. Bold color choices, from vitamin C orange to lemon twist, made the car just as loud in appearance as it was in performance. But with its sky-high insurance premiums and steep price, few customers were willing to gamble on a topless Hemi monster. 17 buyers did, and they unknowingly bought history. Today, the 1970 Hemi Cuda convertible stands as a sacred relic from the muscle car era. It was the perfect storm of rarity, power, and unfiltered American performance. A car so outrageous, it could only exist in that fleeting, golden moment of muscle car madness. Number 8. 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda Hardtop. Total units 107. By 1971, the golden era of muscle cars was already beginning to fade under the weight of rising insurance rates and looming federal regulations. But Plymouth wasn't ready to back down just yet. In its final year as a fire-breathing street warrior, the Hemi Cuda Hardtop continued to offer unrelenting performance paired with sinister styling. Only 107 units were produced, with the legendary 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, making it an exceptionally rare beast. The Hemi Cuda wasn't built for the faint of heart. Under the shaker hood sat one of the most fearsome engines ever sold to the public: dual Carter carburetors, forged pistons, a solid lifter camshaft, and hemispherical combustion chambers came together to deliver 425 horsepower. Mated to either a heavy-duty torque-flight automatic or a 4-speed manual with a pistol grip shifter, the car could tear through the quarter-mile in the low 13s with ease. The styling of the 1971 model was noticeably more aggressive than the year before. With 4 headlamps, gill, fender vents, and high-impact color options like sassy grass green and curious yellow, the Hemi Cuda looked like it was built for a street fight. Inside, drivers were treated to rally gauges, high-back bucket seats, and just enough refinement to remind them they were in something special. Despite all it had to offer, the Hemi Cuda couldn't overcome the changing tides. Sales were sluggish, and production ended with just over 100 built. Today, the 1971 Hemi Cuda Hardtop is regarded as one of the most collectible Mopars of all time, a ferocious, final roar from an era that would soon be silenced. Number 7. 1968 Shelby Mustang GT500 KR Convertible. Total units: 517. In 1968, Carroll Shelby took the Mustang to new heights with the introduction of the GT500 KR, an acronym that stood for King of the Road. It was more than just marketing bravado. The GT500 KR represented the most powerful and refined Shelby Mustang to date, and when offered in convertible form, it became one of the most desirable combinations of muscle and open-air freedom ever built. Only 517 GT500 KR convertibles were produced, making it a rare crown jewel of the Shelby legacy. The KR was powered by the new 428 Cobra Jet V8, which Ford conservatively rated at 335 horsepower to fool insurance companies. In reality, the engine produced well over 400 horsepower, with massive torque available across the rev range. Backed by either a 4-speed manual or a C6 automatic transmission, the GT500 KR could rocket down the quarter mile in the low 14-second range, serious performance for a luxury muscle convertible. The Shelby team didn't just focus on power. The GT500 KR convertible featured functional ram air induction, staggered shocks, heavy-duty suspension, and power front disc brakes to keep everything under control. On the outside, it wore fiberglass body panels, unique scoops, dual exhaust tips exiting through the rear valance, and a pronounced hood bulge that let everyone know what lurked beneath. Inside, high-back bucket seats, a roll bar, and Shelby badging reminded occupants they were driving something truly special. The 1968 Shelby GT500 KR convertible wasn't just a performance car, it was a statement. It proved that muscle and elegance could coexist in the same package. With low production numbers and high-performance credentials, it remains one of the most collectible and respected Shelby Mustangs ever made. Number 6. 1992 Dodge Viper RT10. Total units: 236. In 1992, Dodge shattered the mold of what an American performance car could be with the launch of the Viper RT10. It wasn't just a sports car, it was a raw, unfiltered, four-wheeled animal. With only 236 examples built in its debut year, the first-generation Viper wasn't just rare, it was revolutionary. Born from a concept car unveiled in 1989 and championed by then Chrysler president Bob Lutz, the Viper was developed as a modern interpretation of the Shelby Cobra. It featured an 8-liter V10 engine derived from a truck platform, re-engineered with aluminum components by Lamborghini, which was under Chrysler's ownership at the time. The result was a torque-heavy beast producing 400 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. There were no frills, no traction control, no anti-lock brakes, no air conditioning, and no exterior door handles or side windows in traditional form. Even the roof was a temporary soft top with vinyl side curtain. It was as analog as performance driving got in the early 1990s. Mated to a 6-speed manual transmission, the Viper could hit 60 miles per hour in just over 4 seconds and complete the quarter mile in the low 13s. What made the 1992 Viper RT10 even more special was its exclusivity. Every unit came in Viper red with gray 5-spoke wheels and a minimalist cockpit that placed the driver at the center of the experience. It wasn't just a sports car, it was a statement that American muscle could evolve and still dominate. Today, those early Vipers are celebrated as the purest expression of Dodge's performance ethos, a bold and unapologetic return to no-compromise driving. Number 5. 1969 Chevrolet Yenko Camaro. Total units: 201. In 1969, when Chevrolet's official options list couldn't satisfy the hunger of die-hard performance enthusiasts, a few visionaries stepped in to fill the void. Among them was Don Yenko, a Pennsylvania dealer who had already made a name converting Corvairs and Novas into road-going rockets. But it was his work on the Camaro that became truly legendary. That year, he managed to order a batch of Camaros equipped with the monstrous 427 cubic inch 11.2 V8 directly from the factory, thanks to Chevrolet's little-known Copo 9561 program. Just 201 of these Yenko Camaros were built, making them some of the most desirable muscle cars ever produced. The 72 engine wasn't a mild upgrade. It delivered 425 horsepower and over 460 pound-feet of torque, backed by a heavy-duty Muncie 4-speed manual and a 12-bolt positraction rear axle. This setup allowed the Yenko Camaro to hit 60 in well under 6 seconds and tear through the quarter mile in the low 13s, unheard of for a street car at the time. Each Yenko Camaro received special badging, stripes, and headrest embroidery, along with Stewart Warner auxiliary gauges mounted below the dash. While the exterior appeared modest compared to some of the wilder muscle cars of the era, it exuded a certain menace that only the initiated truly understood. What makes the 1969 Yenko Camaro so significant is not just its rarity, but its rebellious origin. It was the result of an enthusiast working around corporate limitations to deliver unfiltered performance to the street. Today, these cars are blue-chip collectibles and living proof that sometimes the most powerful ideas are born not in boardrooms, but in the backrooms of passionate dealers. Number 3. 1966 Shelby Mustang GT 350 Convertible. Total units 4. In the pantheon of rare American muscle cars, the 1966 Shelby GT 350 Convertible occupies an almost mythical status. While Shelby American built over 1,300 GT 350 fastbacks that year, only 4 convertibles were produced, making it one of the rarest factory-authorized Shelby Mustangs ever assembled. These convertibles weren't part of the original sales plan, but were constructed as prototypes or promotional vehicles, each with slight variations and all with historical significance. Under the hood, the GT 350 convertible retained the same high-revving 289 cubic inch K-code V8 as the fastback, delivering a potent 271 horsepower. Equipped with aluminum intake manifolds, Holley 4-barrel carburetors, and dual exhausts, the engine offered sharp throttle response and a distinctively aggressive sound. Paired with either a 4-speed manual or automatic transmission, it delivered respectable performance and balanced handling thanks to Shelby's modified suspension setup. Aesthetically, the GT 350 convertibles featured Shelby-specific fiberglass hoods, functional scoops, rear brake cooling ducts, side stripes, and roll bars, just like their hardtop siblings. Inside, they came with unique Shelby badging, racing seat belts, wood rim steering wheels, and competition-style instrumentation. But what truly set them apart was the open-air driving experience, combined with Shelby's track-ready DNA. Each of the 4 convertibles has been carefully preserved or restored, and they are rarely seen outside of concours-level events or private collections. The 1966 Shelby GT 350 convertible represents a time when performance was being defined by visionaries, and experimentation led to greatness. As both a muscle car and a collector's artifact, it remains one of the most elusive and valuable Mustangs ever created, a true unicorn of the Shelby legacy. Number 2. 1969 Dodge Coronet RT Convertible Hemi. Total units 10. In the muscle car world, few names carry as much brute force and road presence as the Dodge Coronet RT. But in 1969, Dodge took it to an entirely new level when they offered the RT convertible with the infamous 426 cubic inch Hemi engine. Only 10 of these beasts were ever built, making it one of the most elusive and desirable Mopars ever to roll off the assembly line. The Hemi engine itself was a marvel of engineering, featuring hemispherical combustion chambers, forged pistons, solid lifters, and dual 4-barrel carburetors. Officially rated at 425 horsepower, it was widely known to push far more in real-world conditions. Paired with either a heavy-duty 4-speed manual or a bulletproof torque-flight automatic, the Hemi Coronet RT convertible could launch with the kind of authority that embarrassed European exotics and terrified lesser muscle cars. But what made this car so special wasn't just the engine. It was the contradiction it embodied. It combined open-air cruising with top-tier muscle, allowing drivers to enjoy wind in their hair while unleashing drag strip-level power. Most buyers looking for Hemis opted for hardtops or Superbs, leaving the convertible RT as a rare indulgence for the few who wanted it all: luxury, power, and rarity. Visually, it came loaded with RT badging, power bulge hoods, and optional bumblebee stripes, making it unmistakable to those in the know. Inside, high-back bucket seats, wood grain trim, and performance instrumentation created a cabin that was equal parts comfort and command center. The 1969 Hemi Coronet RT convertible stands today as a holy grail among Mopar collectors. With only 10 built, each one represents an era when Detroit dared to build machines that combined extreme muscle with a touch of open-air elegance. Number 1. 1969 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am Convertible. Total units: 8. When Pontiac introduced the Trans Am in 1969, it was intended to be a homologation special, built to help Pontiac qualify for the SCCA's Trans-American Racing Series. Based on the Firebird platform, the Trans Am featured a performance-oriented package with distinctive styling and race-ready upgrades. While 634 Trans Ams were built in its debut year, only 8 of them were convertibles, making the 1969 Trans Am convertible one of the rarest muscle cars ever created. Each of the 8 convertibles was painted cameo white with twin blue racing stripes running the length of the body. The aggressive styling was enhanced by functional air scoops, a decklet spoiler, and subtle Trans Am callouts on the fenders. These touches gave the car a track-inspired look, even as it cruised under an open sky. Under the hood, all 8 convertibles were powered by Pontiac's 400 cubic inch Ram Air 3 V8 engine, rated at 335 horsepower. A handful were reportedly equipped with the more aggressive Ram Air 4 option, delivering even more performance for drivers who wanted to push the limits. Buyers could choose either a 4-speed manual or a 3-speed automatic transmission, paired with heavy-duty suspension and quick ratio steering. Despite its performance pedigree, the Trans Am convertible arrived at an awkward time. Insurance premiums were climbing, emissions regulations loomed on the horizon, and the high price tag limited its appeal. As a result, Pontiac pulled the plug after only 8 drop tops were made. Today, the 1969 Trans Am convertible is a unicorn among muscle cars, a rare fusion of style, speed, and scarcity. With only 8 in existence, it remains one of the most collectible Pontiacs ever built and a fitting conclusion to this list of ultra-rare American muscle legends.